Here are the top 10 most haunted places of Massachusetts, USA. 1. Lizzy Bordon House. In the quiet town of Fall River, Massachusetts, the Lizzy Bordon House stands as a chilling monument to one of America's most infamous unsolved crimes. On August 4, 1892, this unassuming Victorian home became the stage for a brutal double murder that shocked the nation. Andrew Bordon, a wealthy businessman, and his wife Abby were hacked to death with an axe. Andrew's face nearly cleaved in two, Abby's skull crushed by 19 blows. Their daughter, Lizzy Bordon, was accused but acquitted, leaving a cloud of suspicion that lingers to this day. Now a bed and breakfast, the house draws thrill seekers and paranormal investigators, all lured by its gruesome past and relentless hauntings. The air here feels heavy, as if the walls themselves whisper secrets of that fateful day. Why is it haunted? The savage violence of the murders seems to have scarred the house's very soul. Guests report an oppressive atmosphere, with sudden chills and unexplained dread. Apparitions of an older woman, believed to be Abby Bordon, appear at bedsides, gently tucking in sleeping guests before vanishing. Disembodied weeping echoes through the halls, and heavy footsteps creak on the stairs, as if someone is pacing in eternal torment. Paranormal investigators frequently capture EVPs, electronic voice phenomena, muttering cryptic phrases like, "Not me," or "Why?" Cameras and equipment malfunction inexplicably, batteries draining in seconds. Some claim Lizzie's own spirit lingers, her acquittal unable to free her from the house's grip. The most chilling reports involve the axe itself. Guests hear its dull thud in the night, as if the murders are replaying in some spectral loop. The Tucking Ghost of Room 9, 2018. Jessica, a 32-year-old true crime enthusiast from Ohio, booked a night in Abby Bordon's bedroom, eager to experience the infamous house. She arrived alone, her excitement tinged with unease as the guide recounted the murder's grisly details. At 2 a.m., Jessica woke to a strange sensation. Her blankets were being gently pulled up to her chin, as if someone was tucking her in. The room was pitch black, but she felt a presence hovering over her bed. "I froze," she later told a paranormal podcast. "I could hear soft breathing, like an older woman's, right by my ear." Terrified, she flicked on the lamp, but no one was there. The blankets were neatly tucked, though she'd left them tangled. Moments later, a low wail echoed from the hallway, followed by 3 distinct thuds, like an axe striking wood. Jessica grabbed her phone to record, but it shut off despite a full battery. She spent the rest of the night in the parlor, too scared to return upstairs. The next morning, the staff confirmed her experience matched countless others. Abby's ghost often cares for guests before unleashing her sorrow. Jessica left convinced the house holds Abby's restless spirit, forever bound to her violent end. 2. Gallows Hill, Salem. In the heart of Salem, Massachusetts, Gallows Hill looms as a grim relic of one of America's darkest chapters, the 1692 Salem witch trials. Here, in a rocky, desolate clearing, 19 innocent men and women were hanged for witchcraft, their bodies left dangling as a warning to others. The screams of the condemned, the creak of ropes, and the hysteria of a puritanical mob left an indelible scar on this land. Long shrouded in mystery, the exact location of these executions was confirmed in 2016 by historians at the Gallows Hill Project, pinpointing a wooded area near Proctor's Ledge. Today, this unassuming site is a magnet for paranormal activity, where the air crackles with anguish and the ground seems to pulse with unresolved suffering. Visitors leave trembling, claiming the hill itself whispers their names. Why is it haunted? The brutal executions at Gallows Hill, carried out in a frenzy of fear and false accusations, have left a psychic wound that refuses to heal. The condemned, including figures like Bridget Bishop and Sarah Good, faced agonizing deaths, their pleas ignored by a fanatic crowd. Locals and paranormal investigators report an oppressive atmosphere, as if the hill is steeped in despair. Shadowy figures dart between trees, vanishing when approached. Inexplicable shrieks pierce the night, echoing the final cries of the hanged. Apparitions of cloaked figures, some with nooses around their necks, are seen standing silently before fading into mist. Cold spots engulf visitors even on warm summer days, and compasses spin wildly, unable to find north. Some claim to hear whispered curses or feel phantom hands pushing them toward the ledge. At dusk, the hill grows eerily silent, as if the spirits hold their breath, waiting for justice that never came. The Screaming Shadow, 2019. During a late-night ghost tour in October 2019, a group of tourists visited Proctor's Ledge, led by a seasoned Salem guide named Emily. As the group stood in a circle, reading the names of the executed, a piercing scream tore through the silence, coming from the woods. It wasn't human, it was like a wail from another world, Emily later recounted on a local podcast. The group froze and one woman, Sarah, clutched her throat, gasping that she felt an invisible force squeezing her neck. As the guide shone her flashlight toward the trees, a tall, shadowy figure with a hood appeared, standing motionless about 20 feet away. The group panicked, but when they looked again, the figure was gone. Sarah's neck bore faint red marks, though she hadn't touched it. Later, a tourist's audio recorder captured a faint whisper saying, "Not a witch," during the scream. The group fled, and Emily refused to lead tours to the ledge after dark again, convinced the spirits of the condemned were crying out for vindication. 3. Hawthorne Hotel, Salem. Nestled in the eerie heart of Salem, Massachusetts, the Hawthorne Hotel stands as a grand yet unsettling landmark, its elegant facade hiding a chilling connection to the 1692 Salem witch trials. Built in 1925 on land once owned by Bridget Bishop, the first victim hanged for witchcraft, this luxurious hotel pulses with supernatural energy. Bishop's unjust execution, marked by a mob's frenzy and a noose's snap, seems to have cursed the ground itself. Today, this historic hotel, named after Nathaniel Hawthorne, draws guests seeking both comfort and thrills, only to find themselves entangled in a web of paranormal terror. The walls hum with whispers, and the air grows thick with the presence of those who never left. Why is it haunted? The Hawthorne Hotel's hauntings are rooted in its grim history, tied to Bridget Bishop's brutal fate and the lingering trauma of the witch trials. Room 612 on the 6th floor is the epicenter of terror, where guests report faucets turning on and off by unseen hands, lights flickering wildly, and mirrors reflecting shadowy figures that vanish when you turn. An oppressive sensation of being watched grips visitors, as if Bridget's spirit, or something darker, lingers, furious at her wrongful death. Disembodied footsteps echo down the 6th floor hallway, halting abruptly outside room 612. Some guests hear faint sobs or a woman's voice muttering, "I'm not a witch," chillingly clear in the dead of night. The hotel's lower floors aren't spared either. Staff report silverware rattling in empty dining rooms and cold spots sweeping through the ballroom, where spectral figures in colonial attire are glimpsed during events. Paranormal investigators capture EVPs of anguished cries, and EMF detectors spike without explanation. The hotel's beauty only amplifies its dread, as every creak feels like a warning from the past. The Phantom in room 612, 2017. In October 2017, a couple from Chicago, Mark and Laura, checked into room 612 for a romantic Halloween getaway, intrigued by Salem's witchy lore. At 3 a.m., Laura woke to the sound of running water. The bathroom faucet was gushing, though both swore they turned it off. As Mark reached to shut it, the lights flickered, and a wave of icy air swept through the room. Laura screamed, pointing to the mirror where a woman's face, pale with hollow eyes and a red shawl, stared back. "She looked right at me like she was pleading," Laura later told a local news outlet. The face vanished, but the couple felt a crushing weight, as if someone stood at the foot of their bed. They heard a low whisper, "Why me?" before the room fell silent. Their phone left recording later revealed an EVP of a woman sobbing. The couple fled to the lobby, refusing to return for their bags until daylight. Hotel staff nodded knowingly. Room 612's Lady in Red is a frequent visitor, believed to be Bridget Bishop, still seeking justice. 4. USS Salem Quincy. Docked ominously in Quincy, Massachusetts. The USS Salem is a hulking Cold War-era Navy cruiser that harbors more than rust in history. It's a floating graveyard of restless souls. Commissioned in 1949, this 700-foot behemoth served as a hospital ship, during the 1953 Ionian earthquake relief efforts, where countless victims succumbed to their injuries in its cramped, blood-soaked wards. The screams of the dying and the frantic chaos of emergency surgeries left a psychic stain on the ship's steel corridors. Decommissioned in 1959 and now a museum, the USS Salem is notorious as one of America's most haunted sites, where the living tread lightly among the dead. The air hums with unease, and every clang of metal feels like a cry from the abyss. Why is it haunted? The USS Salem's hauntings stem from its grim role as a floating hospital, where death was a constant companion. The surgical bays, morgue, and recovery wards witnessed unimaginable suffering, and that agony seems to linger in the ship's labyrinthine halls. Visitors report apparitions of sailors and patients, some in tattered hospital gowns, others in Navy uniforms, staring blankly before vanishing. Blood-curdling screams echo through the engine room, often accompanied by a chilling EVP captured by investigators. A woman's voice shrieking, "Get it out!" Objects move inexplicably, with tools sliding across tables and doors slamming shut in empty compartments. Cold spots grip entire rooms, and the smell of antiseptic or blood wafts through the air, even though the ship hasn't seen patients in decades. Paranormal equipment goes haywire, with EMF detectors spiking and cameras failing mid-shot. The lower decks, especially the morgue, radiate a suffocating dread, where visitors feel phantom hands brushing their shoulders or hear whispers begging for help. At night, the ship feels alive, as if the spirits reenact their final moments in an endless, tormented loop. The Screaming Patient, 2015. During a paranormal investigation in June 2015, a team from New England ghost hunters boarded the USS Salem for an overnight lockdown. Led by investigator Sarah, the group set up in the surgical ward where amputations were once performed. Around 2 a.m., Sarah's audio recorder picked up a faint moan, growing into a gut-wrenching scream of a woman yelling, "Get it out, please!" The team froze, their flashlights flickering. Sarah later shared on the podcast, "It felt like the scream was inside my skull, not just in the room." As they moved toward the morgue, a metal tray crashed to the floor behind them, though no one was near it. Their thermal camera caught a human-shaped heat signature in the corner, despite the room being empty. The group's lead, Mike, felt a sharp tug on his jacket, as if someone grabbed him. Reviewing footage, they found an EVP of a man's voice whispering, "Stay with me," right before the tray fell. Sarah called the experience like stepping into a nightmare, and the team's footage, aired on a local paranormal show, left viewers rattled. 5. Freetown-Fall River State Forest, Bridgewater Triangle. Deep in southeastern Massachusetts, the Freetown-Fall River State Forest sprawls across 5,000 acres, a sinister cornerstone of the 200-square-mile Bridgewater Triangle, a region infamous for its paranormal horrors since the 1970s. This dense, shadowy woodland, steeped in a history of violence, from colonial-era conflicts to documented murders and alleged satanic rituals in the 20th century, is a vortex of the unexplained. The forest's twisted paths and murky ponds pulse with an eerie energy, where the line between reality and nightmare blurs. Hikers and investigators enter seeking adventure, but often flee, haunted by what they've seen or felt lurking in the trees. This is no ordinary forest. It's a living, breathing entity of dread, where the supernatural reigns supreme. Why is it haunted? The Freetown-Fall River. State Forest is a cauldron of paranormal activity, fueled by its blood-soaked past and the Bridgewater Triangle's reputation as a hotspot for the bizarre. Historical records confirm violent crimes, including the 1978 murder of a teenager tied to satanic cult activity, leaving a psychic scar on the land. Visitors report ghostly apparitions, shadowy figures in colonial attire or bloodied modern clothing, slipping through the trees only to vanish when approached. Mysterious orbs of light dance across the forest, defying explanation, while some claim to see UFOs hovering silently above the canopy. The most chilling legend is the huge black killer dog, a spectral beast with glowing red eyes, said to stalk hikers and leave claw marks on trees. Disembodied screams, whispers calling your name, and sudden, bone-chilling cold spots ambush the unwary. Paranormal investigators capture EVPs pleading, "Help me," or growling unintelligibly, and compasses fail as if the forest itself warps reality. The infamous Profile Rock, a granite outcrop, is a focal point for sightings, where some feel an invisible force pushing them away. This forest doesn't just haunt, it hunts, trapping visitors in its malevolent grip. 6. Hton Mansion, North Adams. Tucked away in the shadowy hills of North Adams, Massachusetts, the Hton Mansion looms as a grand yet sorrow-soaked relic of tragedy. Built in the 1890s by Albert Charles Hton, a wealthy industrialist and the town's first mayor, this imposing Victorian estate was meant to be a symbol of prosperity. But in August 1914, it became a house of horrors when a catastrophic car accident claimed the lives of Albert and his beloved daughter, Mary. Their chauffeur, John Witters, racked with guilt, took his own life in the mansion's basement days later. Now a hub for paranormal activity, the mansion's creaking halls and darkened rooms pulse with the anguish of its lost souls. Visitors enter curious but leave trembling, haunted by the eerie presence of a family that never found peace. Why is it haunted? The Hton Mansion's hauntings are rooted in the sudden violent deaths that shattered the family. The 1914 accident, caused when Witters swerved to avoid a road crew, sending the car plummeting down an embankment, left Albert and Mary dead, and the mansion steeped in grief. Witters' suicide, driven by survivor's guilt, added a layer of despair that seems to cling to the walls. Guests report disembodied footsteps pacing the second floor, where Mary's bedroom lies, as if she's searching for her father. Apparitions of a young woman in a white dress, believed to be Mary, appear in mirrors or at the top of the grand staircase, her face etched with sorrow. Whispered voices, sometimes calling out, "Father," or "Why?" echo through empty rooms, chilling even skeptics. The basement, where Witters ended his life, radiates a suffocating dread, with reports of shadowy figures and the sound of a gunshot ringing out at night. Paranormal investigators capture EVPs of a man's voice pleading, "Forgive me," and cameras often malfunction, especially near Mary's portrait. The mansion's energy feels alive, as if the Hotons and Witters are trapped in a loop of guilt and loss, unable to move on. Mary's Ghostly Touch, 2019. In October 2019, a group of amateur ghost hunters, including 25-year-old Emily from Boston, booked a late-night paranormal tour at the Hton Mansion. While exploring Mary's bedroom, Emily felt a sudden chill and noticed her breath fogging in the warm room. As she snapped photos, her flashlight flickered, and she heard a soft voice whisper, "Stay." Turning, she saw a faint figure of a young woman in a white dress standing by the bed, her eyes hollow. "I felt her hand brush my arm. It was ice cold," Emily later shared on a paranormal forum. The group's audio recorder captured a clear EVP of a girl saying, "Don't leave me," followed by the sound of a door creaking, though none had moved. Moments later, Emily's camera battery died, and her photos showed a misty silhouette where the figure had been. The tour guide, unsurprised, said Mary often reaches out to female visitors, as if seeking comfort. Emily left shaken, convinced Mary's spirit is desperate for connection, her touch lingering on her skin for days. 7. Concord's Colonial Inn, Concord. In the quaint, history-soaked town of Concord, Massachusetts, Concord's Colonial Inn stands as a charming yet chilling testament to America's turbulent past. Built in 1716, this creaking wooden structure served as a hospital during the Revolutionary War, its walls witnessing the screams and bloodshed of wounded soldiers. Room 24, once an operating room where limbs were amputated without anesthesia, is the heart of the inn's paranormal terror. Now a cozy bed and breakfast, the inn lures guests with colonial charm, but delivers sleepless nights filled with ghostly encounters. The air hums with the anguish of those who died in agony, and every shadow seems to carry the weight of a soldier's final breath. This is no mere hotel, it's a portal to a gruesome past that refuses to fade. Why is it haunted? The inn's hauntings are rooted in its brutal history as a Revolutionary War hospital, where countless soldiers endured excruciating surgeries and died in room 24's blood-stained confines. The trauma of those desperate hours has left a psychic imprint, turning the inn into a hotbed of paranormal activity. Room 24 is infamous for sightings of a gray, misty figure, often described as a soldier with hollow eyes, standing at the foot of beds or vanishing through walls. Guests report objects moving inexplicably, books sliding off shelves, chairs tipping over, and keys jingling in empty drawers. Disembodied moans and the clank of surgical tools echo at night as if phantom operations continue. Cold spots sweep through the room, and some feel a heavy pressure on their chest, like a spectral hand pinning them down. Beyond room 24, the inn's hallways pulse with unease, with footsteps pacing and whispers muttering, "Help," or "No more." Paranormal investigators capture EVPs of pain cries, and cameras catch orbs floating near the fireplace. The inn's inclusion in Historic Hotels of America's top 25 most haunted list underscores its reputation as the spirits of fallen soldiers seem to linger, forever trapped in their final moments. The Gray Soldier's Stare, 2019. In July 2019, a couple, Sarah and Tom, booked room 24 for a weekend escape, unaware of its haunted fame. At midnight, Sarah woke to a freezing chill and saw a gray, translucent figure standing at the bed's edge. A soldier in tattered Revolutionary War garb, his face gaunt and eyes hollow. He just stared like he was pleading for something, Sarah later told a local ghost tour group. As she screamed, waking Tom, the figure dissolved, but a heavy book on the nightstand flew across the room, slamming into the wall. The couple heard faint moans, like a man in pain, coming from the floorboards. Their phone, left recording, captured an EVP of a raspy voice saying, "Cut it off," chillingly clear. Terrified, they fled to the lobby, where the night clerk nodded knowingly, saying the Gray Soldier often visits room 24, believed to be a patient who died during amputation. Sarah swore she felt his gaze on her back as they left, and the couple never returned to Concord. 8. The Wayside Inn, Sudbury. Nestled in the serene countryside of Sudbury, Massachusetts, the Wayside Inn stands as America's oldest operating inn, its weathered clapboards whispering tales of colonial life since 1716. Immortalized by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow in his Tales of a Wayside Inn, this historic haven hides a chilling secret beneath its cozy charm. The inn is forever bound to Jerusha Howe, a spinster who lived there in the 19th century and died of a broken heart. Her love for a suitor unfulfilled when he sailed away and never returned. Now her restless spirit haunts rooms 9 and 10, weaving a spell of sorrow and seduction that grips guests in a dance with the supernatural. The inn's warm hearths and creaking floors belie a presence that watches, touches, and refuses to let go, making every stay a plunge into a ghostly love story. Why is it haunted? Jerusha Howe's tragic death, alone pining for her lost lover, has left an indelible mark on the Wayside Inn, particularly in rooms 9 and 10, where she once played piano and dreamed of love. Known as the Belle of Sudbury, Jerusha's spirit is said to linger, her heartbreak fueling a haunting both tender and terrifying. Guests report the scent of her lavender perfume wafting through the rooms, even when no flowers are present. The faint melancholic strains of piano music drift from an empty parlor, notes echoing Jerusha's favorite tunes. Most unnerving are her physical interactions. Guests in rooms 9 and 10 feel a gentle touch on their hands or face, as if Jerusha is caressing them in the night. Some wake to find their blankets rearranged or sense a presence sitting on the bed's edge. Men in particular report vivid dreams of a woman in a flowing gown, only to wake with a lingering sense of longing. Paranormal investigators capture EVPs of a woman's voice singing softly or whispering, "Wait for me," and EMF detectors spike near Jerusha's old piano. The inn's antique charm amplifies the terror, as every flicker of candlelight feels like her gaze, drawing you into her eternal wait for love. Jerusha's Midnight Caress, 2018. In September 2018, a businessman named David, 42, checked into room 9 for a quiet night after a conference, unaware of the inn's haunted reputation. At 2 a.m., he woke to a sweet floral scent, lavender, though his room had no air fresheners. As he lay still, he felt a soft hand brush his cheek, like a lover's touch, and heard a woman's voice hum a lullaby. "I thought I was dreaming, but my heart was pounding," he later told a local ghost tour guide. The room grew cold, and David saw a faint, glowing figure of a woman in a long dress standing by the window, her head bowed as if weeping. When he flicked on the light, she vanished, but his mirror was fogged with a heart-shaped outline. His phone, left recording, captured an EVP of a woman sighing, "He's gone." David fled to the lobby, where staff calmly explained Jerusha's habit of comforting male guests. He left the next morning, convinced her touch was both loving and possessive, and he still smells lavender in quiet moments. 9. Husac Tunnel, North Adams. Burrowed beneath the Berkshire Mountains in North Adams, Massachusetts, the Husac Tunnel, grimly nicknamed the Bloody Pit, is a 4.75-mile testament to human ambition and horrific sacrifice. Constructed between 1851 and 1875, this railroad tunnel claimed over 200 lives through explosions, cave-ins, and brutal working conditions, earning its sinister moniker. Workers, many Irish immigrants, perished in dynamite blasts, crushed by falling rock, or drowned in flooded shafts, their screams swallowed by the dark. Today, this damp, echoing chasm is a paranormal hotspot, where the tortured souls of the dead seem to claw at the living. The tunnel's oppressive air and flickering shadows make every step feel like a descent into a living grave, where the past howls for attention. Why is it haunted? The Husac Tunnel's staggering death toll has infused its stone walls with a relentless, malevolent energy. The gruesome accidents, most notably the 1867 central shaft explosion that killed 13 workers with nitroglycerin, left a psychic scar that refuses to heal. Visitors report disembodied screams and moans reverberating through the tunnel, as if the workers' final cries are trapped in time. Apparitions, dubbed Husac demons by locals, appear as shadowy figures with glowing eyes, often seen limping or crawling along the tracks. Lantern lights flicker without cause, and cold spots grip explorers, even in summer's heat. Some hear whispers pleading, "Get me out," or the clank of phantom pickaxes striking stone. Paranormal investigators capture chilling EVPs, including growls and cries of "Fire!" a nod to the deadly explosions. Compasses spin wildly, and flashlights fail, plunging groups into pitch-black terror. The tunnel's midpoint, where the worst disasters occurred, feels suffocating, with reports of invisible hands pushing or grabbing. The Husac doesn't just haunt, it engulfs, as if the spirits demand you share their eternal torment. The Screaming Miner, 2017. In October 2017, a group of urban explorers, including 28-year-old Ryan from Albany, ventured into the Husac Tunnel for a late-night thrill. Half a mile in, their flashlights began flickering, and a low moan echoed from the darkness ahead. It sounded like a man in pain, trapped, Ryan later shared on a paranormal podcast. As they pressed deeper, the air grew icy, and Ryan felt a sharp tug on his backpack, nearly pulling him off balance. Then a blood-curdling scream erupted, so loud it shook the group's nerves. Their leader, Mia, aimed her flashlight and caught a glimpse of a figure, gaunt, in tattered work clothes with a face half melted, before it vanished. Their audio recorder captured an EVP of a voice rasping, "Buried alive, chillingly clear." Panicked, the group fled, but Ryan swore he heard footsteps chasing them until they reached the tunnel's mouth. Their photos showed orbs and a faint silhouette against the stone, convincing them they'd encountered a miner's ghost, still screaming from the 1867 disaster. 10. Spider Gates Cemetery, Leicester. Tucked away in the quiet town of Leicester, Massachusetts, Spider Gates Cemetery, officially the Friends Cemetery, has stood since 1740, its weathered Quaker gravestones hiding a chilling reputation. This small, secluded burial ground, surrounded by dense woods and a murky stream, is shrouded in dark legends that paint it as a gateway to another dimension, or worse, the eighth gate to hell. While its Quaker founders sought peace, the cemetery has become a magnet for tales of sinister rituals, from rumored 19th century occult gatherings to modern-day trespassers dabbling in the supernatural. The air here feels heavy, charged with an unnatural stillness that makes your skin crawl. Visitors enter seeking thrills but often flee, haunted by the eerie presence of something otherworldly lurking among the graves. Why is it haunted? Spidergate's haunting stems from its long history and the unsettling folklore that swirls around it like the mist over its nearby stream. Though founded by Quakers, a peaceful sect, the cemetery is linked to whispered tales of satanic rituals and unexplained deaths, possibly exaggerated by local legend, but fueled by real trespassing incidents in the 20th century. Ghostly apparitions, shadowy figures in cloaks or faceless entities, drift between tombstones, vanishing when approached. Visitors report disembodied whispers chanting in an unknown language, often near the stream rumored to be the eighth gate to hell, a supposed portal to a demonic realm. Strange symbols carved into trees and stones add to the eerie vibe, hinting at occult activity. Cold spots engulf entire areas, and some feel an invisible force pushing them toward the stream, as if drawn to cross an unseen threshold. Paranormal investigators capture EVPs of guttural growls or cries like "leave," and cameras catch glowing orbs in misty shapes. The cemetery's isolation amplifies its terror, as every rustling leaf feels like a warning from something or someone watching from beyond. The Whispering Stream, 2018. In October 2018, a group of college students, including 20-year-old Mia, snuck into Spider Gates at midnight, lured by its gate to hell legend. Near the stream, they set up a recorder to capture EVPs joking about summoning spirits. The air grew icy and Mia smelled something foul, like rotting meat. Then we heard it, whispers like a crowd chanting, coming from the water, she later shared on a paranormal podcast. The group froze as their flashlight dimmed and a shadowy figure, tall, cloaked, with no face, appeared across the stream, its outlines shimmering like heat waves. Mia felt a tug on her jacket, pulling her toward the water, though no one was behind her. Their recorder caught a chilling EVP, a deep voice snarling, "Cross now!" Panicked, they ran, but Mia tripped, and her ankle bore red marks like claw scratches. Their photos showed a glowing mist over the stream, and Mia swore the whispers followed her in dreams for weeks, urging her to return to the gate.